cards are weak, like Blue Baby Team.
This is like when you draw like 9 mana in a fucking row. Anybody?
If I was capable of lucid frustration, I'd take the dealer out into the alley and give him what for.
Ooh, I mean, cool, whatever.
The player has ace high. Strong bad has ace high.
Give me back my chippies. Come back to Poopah.
Just going to start out with a disclaimer here. I do not recommend genuine gambling under any circumstances. It is a harmful addiction that has ruined many a life, whether it be through poker or blackjack or slots or whatever. Remember, this is a video game. We're just here for fun. Don't go wasting your life on actual poker. Thank you. Apologies for the wait on this one, folks. Just as things were getting back to normal post-Comic-Con, I had a little seizure-based accident, which was just a few days ago as of writing these lines. Regardless, I'm here, and I figured maybe we start things off talking about a game that's a bit more relaxed. A little blast from the past that's fairly easy to understand. But returning to the vaunted inventory for a night of card games and witty banter between some of 2010 PC gaming culture's iconic characters. Hopefully you have your $10,000 ready. This is Poker Night at the Inventory, the remake.
Oh, hello there. Another enthusiast, I presume. How good it is to see a fresh face here at the inventory. I imagine you're here for the card game with the fellows downstairs. Let me lead you down there.
As far as art style goes, Poker Night has an extra difficult hurdle to get over, having to juggle the art styles of 4 different franchises in the form of our 4 fellow poker players at the table here. Granted, they are all some form of cartoony and or cel-shaded art. In the case of Strong Bad and Tycho, that's because they are quite literally pulled from webcomics, while Max did start out in comic strips. And good ol' Heavy has that 1920s industrial propaganda art style that really makes him pop. All in all, very faithful adaptations of each respective character, and I think the character choices in particular were really smart, as none of them rub up poorly against the other. The same goes for the unlockable table and card arts, all unique to their respective worlds while still feeling like they could oddly be in the same universe. Hell, depending on the cosmetics you choose, other things might change, like the red team table giving the Heavy a gambler visor. And the music is a very nice and smooth, jazzy aesthetic. The perfect kind of background noise for a poker game being held in a smoky underground speakeasy. And on the note of background noise, there's actually a lot of ambient sounds in the background that I, on more than one occasion, had to check to see if it was the game or real life. It actually managed to trick me and get me that immersed. But what am I getting immersed in exactly?
Pacifism is sometimes a viable option.
I am in and ready to crush baby men.
So, what do you do for fun, Heavy?
Clean Sasha, use Sasha, clean Sasha again.
Proper maintenance is crucial.
I also collect old coins,
A fellow numismatist.
which I melt down to make custom bullets.
Of course you do.
All right, I check.
Checking.
The heavy has a pair of twos. Tycho has a pair of twos.
We are both killers.
No real story here. There's not even a vague excuse as to how this crossover is even possible. You're just kind of expected to accept it and move on. We do get a bit of lore about our location though. Apparently in this timeline, there were rumors of a leaked draft of the 18th Amendment, the one that caused the Prohibition era in the US. That would have also banned games like poker and blackjack, just as it had banned alcohol. In response, the inventory was established not only as a speakeasy for alcohol, but also for games, hence the literal underground nature of the building. Of course, that gaming part of the amendment never went through and Prohibition was eventually ended anyways. So that left the inventory as just a special little club for people who know a guy who knows a guy. And you're some random schmuck who's been invited to join the Poker Night tournament, accompanied by Max from Sam & Max, Strong Bad from Homestar Runner, The Heavy from TF2, and Tycho from Penny Arcade. It's very much an aggressively early 2010s era cast we have here. Most of these characters haven't exactly been relevant at all in the past decade, but they were still pretty big stars back during this game's release. Also, Max was basically free since the game was made by Telltale anyway, which is probably the same reason they put Sam in the second game. But that's not what you're really here for. How does it play as an actual poker simulator this time around?
Tycho, is there a lot of criminal activity in the Pacific Northwest?
Same as anywhere else, I suppose. It has its douchers, sure, but there aren't any real villains.
That's alright. Sam and I could subsist on a limitless supply of 2-bit hoodlums.
Tycho wins the hand.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, so that's alright. Sam and I could subsist on a limitless supply of 2-bit hoodlums. Oh, or if you know of a cabal of greedy corporate monsters hell-bent on blanketing an entire generation in a deep exploitative sadness, that'd do.
Oh, so chains of used video game resellers? Yeah, we got those.
It's poker. It's definitely poker. And you know what? That's all it needs to be. It's all it's supposed to be, and it does that job rather well in my opinion. We're playing no-limit Texas Hold'em rules, meaning you can pretty much bet as much as you want, and we ain't playing that Omaha shit like you can in Poker Night 2. I suppose I shouldn't take for granted how many of you may or may not know how to play poker, so I'll explain the gist of it. In Texas Hold'em rules, every player is given 2 cards at the start of a round. These cards are unique to them. They're whole cards. So if someone has a pair of 9s in their 2 cards, for instance, only they have that hand. Nobody else. After that, 2 players are chosen to be the small and large blinds, essentially putting in the starting amount of chips into the pot for that round. Then everyone has to either call the blind, raise the bet, or fold for the round. If the bet is raised, everyone has to either call it, essentially matching it, or raise it again, assuming they can. Alternatively, if everyone simply calls the blind, the large blind player can check, ending their turn without folding or betting since they've already put in money. Once the turns are finished, 3 cards are played onto the table. These middle cards are community cards that you can use to finish or augment a hand. Of course, you have to be wary and know that community cards count towards everyone, not just you. Then everybody does another round of checking, betting, calling, and/or raising, and once things have settled, another card is played. This process repeats until 5 cards are on the table, and after a final round of betting, everyone reveals their cards and the player with the best hand wins the pot. Also, if at any point all other players have folded and there is one player left in for the round, they win the pot. Rinse and repeat until all the chips, and in turn the money, belong to one player, the last person standing. It's fairly easy to wrap your head around once you get into it. The real trick to it is trying to read the other players, to figure out if they actually have a strong hand or if they're trying to bluff and intimidate their way to victory. Of course, you also have the chance to try and bluff and intimidate your way to victory, if you think you can read your opponents well enough. And really, that's what makes this game fun, the opponents. The devs over at Skunkgape went and reworked a lot of the old Telltale code so that the game functions more like an actual poker simulator, with the cast making more informed choices that should hopefully make this version harder than the original. Now, I don't have concrete numbers to back that up, but everyone does seem competent enough to be a decent challenge here. The real fun is trying to decipher their actions based on what you know about them. Each of our cast members here doesn't just make informed decisions, but they will also act in accordance to their general personality. Max can be deceptively smart, but also has a penchant for erratic decision-making, making him probably the hardest one to read. Strongbad is full of himself, so he will pretty consistently try to just outraise everyone else and intimidate people away from the pot, but it also means he will usually end up at the end of a round with a really crappy hand and get eliminated rather quickly. Tycho likes to put on this veneer of intelligence, which is only half true, prompting him to either try and bluff his way to victory, or just fold 10 times in a row until he finally gets the perfect hand. The Heavy, meanwhile, is arguably one of the more difficult opponents at the table. He is certainly the most intelligent. Despite his English skills, he points out the fact that he has a PhD, which, despite being in Russian literature, having a PhD in anything is already a huge deal. Heavy not only knows what he has when he has it most of the time, but he also knows how and when to play the intimidation game, making him a mean opponent. And honestly, it's great just seeing them all interact. Despite their differences, seeing them shoot the shit is just really fun.
I'll re-raise.
Raise.
Yeah, I'll raise.
Yeah, fold.
All in.
Yowza! Calling. Shot.
Tycho has 2 pair. The player has a pair of aces. The Heavy has a pair of 4s. Tycho wins the hand. Tycho wins the hand.
I was holding the cards that time.
The Heavy has been eliminated from play.
It is over? I lose? I bring terrible loss to team.
The player has been eliminated from play.
Man, if I were you, I'd be sweating hate. It would froth from my mouth and nose. It'd be like that movie, There Will Be Froth.
And that is the Poker Night at the Inventory remake. A very fun, very well done remake of a good and enjoyable crossover poker simulator. Although I did notice that unless you have your graphics tweaked just right, the VSync will cause your game to utterly chug for some reason. I didn't look much into the actual cause, but enough messing around fixed it eventually, so just be on the lookout for that. And again, don't actually gamble, just play this instead. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later.